Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific unboxing. God, I can nearly speak. Right. Full disclosure, I won this in a competition on Infinite Monkey Tales Twitch stream, so it's worth checking out if you don't already. Fantastic channel. I've been on it a few times. They're obviously on here as well for the Alien RPG gameplay and our Morkborg gameplay, as well as waffling about the Alien movies. I think the Alien Romulus stream has to be the longest ever review of a movie, like over 4 hours of us just geeking out. So, good bunch of folks. Basically, what they do is every so often, some will be pre-announced to be on a stream, and some will just be off the cuff. But there've been absolutely loads of giveaways. So if you're there and you're in the chat, just keep an eye out. At some stage during the game, whatever might be playing, there might be a freebie, and it could be digital download of a game. For example, with Brotherhood of the Dice, we all collaborate together. We were giving away a digital copy of Helter Skelter every night we were playing it. On this channel, obviously, we're giving away starter box set for Alien, and when we start back the Dakota Strain trilogy with the Heart of Darkness, there'll be a giveaway there too. So keep your eyes open for that. But keep your eyes open, honestly. Anytime we get a chance to give stuff away and get people invested in the hobby, why not? Even if you're not invested in the hobby, this is what I keep saying to folks. TTRPG books are well written. Like the amount of effort that goes into putting these stories together, doesn't matter what's system, but generally with people who write role-playing games, the you get a better standard writing. If you look at the absolute guff out there in the sort of novel world and that, and the people just throw out, but because you have to actually play a game and play test it, and you have to have people invested in the universe, it has to be well written, and it has to not be boxed in just because of the nature of what happens. So even if you don't intend to play the game, they're worth actually buying just for the story. Oh, hey Flea, how are you? Yep, I'm sneaking on here for a quick one because, God, how long ago was it? It was a while ago, and I was actually lurking on the channel, and it said type blah blah blah, and I did it, and my name comes up because they put it in their random generator, and sure enough, I want to comment. Oh, right, cool. Thought it was a digital one. Didn't realize it was a physical copy. Because even if I'm on streaming, obviously I'll pop on and I'll lurk and I'll listen, and then if I'm doing like a stream here and they're on, I'll turn the volume down on their side, and then once I'm finished, I'll just pop it back up again. Because like to know what my friends are up to. But here we go. That's well wrapped as always. If you don't know already, I am a fan of Free League publishing. I really am. I've got Mutant Year Zero. I've got obviously the Alien RPG. I've been covering the news on the second edition Alien RPG. Looking forward to that. Jonathan Hicks, who's been on the show, wrote Rapture Protocol, the new starter adventure, and he signed an NDA, so he couldn't tell us about it. And then he didn't even know himself when they published it. One thing I'm noting, like they put if you had seen one of my unboxing articles, they've put the second edition back because of fan feedback. So they've listened to fans go, all right, okay, we'll not rush ahead with this. We'll take your feedback on board, and we'll put it back the next year. What companies do that today? In today's culture of you're a horrible, you customers, you're pay pegs, you do this, you're horrible, blah, blah, blah. When you've actually got a company that listens to the customer base, and when they get the licenses for the properties, they expand them out more. In fact, the TV studios would do well to listen to the RPG creators. Seriously, the Alien, like I'll go back to Alien because that's the one I've played the most out of the lot of them. The expansion of the lore on that and just the core rulebook alone, never mind the actual scenarios. Like the latest one I got from them is building better worlds. That's just taking it to a new level. I'll admit I'm not a fan of the TV show. This with The Walking Dead. I got as far as season one, and I was like, nah, because I don't know. I just felt it was a bit contrived, and that show went on forever. I covered was it the issue 100 of the comic book series, and some of them covers look horrendous. Once again, uh, I've covered stuff, but what Free League do, and what I've noticed, and this is obviously my personal opinion, is they take the best bits. They look at the lore of a story of a universe, and they take the best bits that are ripe for storytelling, and they incorporate that into the games. And their system, is really simple to use. The mechanics, like all of them use stress mechanics. Obviously, we'll have a look at this here in a moment, but the use of stress mechanics for when things get gnarly, and you can just watch your characters go wibble. And then that's one of the feedback points that came back with the alien is that there's nothing for out of combat, because once you get that point, you're just a gibbering wreck because the situation's got over you. But that's realistic. I'm bored with the games that you just fall, you just meet as a party and you're instantly bonded and you just go room to room and beat things up and take a treasure, etc., and just no role play whatsoever. Morkborg's free league as well. I didn't even know that. That we're currently playing the channel. Once again, there's an entire universe. I've got the digital version of the core rulebook, but I'm probably going to get the physical copy myself. They've taken that universe and God, it's open ended. Like you can do anything, and we're having so much fun with it, and you can really go to dark places. So there's outlets for everything. God, you know me, I'll lurk on a stream and help out. Even if I'm doing stuff, and I'll pop in just to keep the chat. I'm not really. Oh, give me this. And plus, I feel like I shouldn't really be taking part in these because obviously I'm connected and so forth. But at the same time, you're not in, you can't win. At least it shows activity in the chat and stuff, and then people get the hint. And if you type it in, then you get the FOMO, and then people get involved. I'm sorry, I've been broke. No, I've had other priorities. I just haven't had anything really burning to pick up and unbox. So yeah, it has been a minute. Cameron's having to do all the unboxing videos with the horror pack episodes. Yeah, inter-party conflict. It's you have to come together for the end goal, but at the same time, this whole idea, everyone meets in a tavern and they're instantly best friends, and even if they're of competing philosophies or ethoses or clans or you name it, all of a sudden that's all put to the side like straight away, and never causes a problem in the game. And there's no breathing space in a lot of games for role playing. That's the whole point, is to be a character, and it's not just the right. I swing a sword, I draw a bow, I do this. That's fine and well, but it's you're stepping into someone else who's not you, and you're pretending basically. What would my character do? And it can be antithetical to who you are as a person. And I think it's really important to explore that, because that's a bit of stepping into somebody else's shoes. So you all know what your own moral compass is. You all know what your own stand is on things. I think it's worthwhile to step into somebody else, that's completely opposite. And it doesn't have to be antagonistic, just someone, if you're the type that always runs forward in the battle, or, if you're always stepping up beside your friends to help out, maybe being that Weasley character, just to see what it's like, from their perspective, to understand them, and learn to deal with them better. Like, there's all sorts of reasons to do it, but just also storytelling. Storytelling has been part of the human psyche ever since we crawled out of caves. That's how we impart information. That's how we strive to do better. We built these worlds in our heads, and then we tried to reach them, and that's how civilization got to here. The reason that we're falling so far back is we've forgotten about storytelling. That's the fundamental of the human condition. Just my opinion. Anyway, you're here, not here for my philosophy lessons. We're here to have a look at the book. So this is the core rules. Like always, hardcover. Like I said, I was not expecting to get a physical copy of this. So this all takes place in northeast Georgia. So there's our map. State border, forest, populated area. So you got your legend, all that good stuff. So everything pretty much standard. You get your introduction to the universe. We've got what the world, most important bit, player characters. So that's all the different types of characters you can have and build and create your own skills and talents. So that's how do you do something, and this is all about building a good group. Everyone has a different talent. If everyone's exactly the same and then you come up against a problem, doesn't really work. We've got skill talents, pretty much standard for Free League, their games. Combat and healing, duels, brawls, damage and healing, other hazards, gear, vehicles, fighting the dead. Home and away, so we've got the Haven, so that's most zombie movies. There's always a safe place that's fortified. In that place has stringent rules, and as always, if you go against them or go against the community, the punishment's usually banishment. Running the game, core concepts, campaign preparation, sessions and scenes, challenges, travel, NPCs and animals, make it come alive. So there's tips for GMs for running the game. As I always say, the pressure, if that's the right word, but the onus and the responsibility of the game putting together is on the GM. They're the ones that have to put it all together. They're the ones that have to prepare, know the rules set, and be ready as well that if the player characters go to do something else, have a contingency plan as much as possible and be able, once again, be interested in the story. GMs like utmost respect for those that GM on a regular basis because they do help make the game possible. And if you can, always support your GM. Best thing you can do is turn up. That's honestly the best thing you can do for somebody running the game is turn up. There's nothing more frustrating than flaky people who say they'll do this, they'll do that, and then they never do, never turn up, they never make a game, or they're dropping out, or they're not interested. Turn up and be present for the moment, and don't try and derail the game. Don't make it all about you. Everyone gets their shot. That's usually the way the stories work. Everyone gets a chance to shine. Don't think it has to be all about you. Sometimes it's nice as well to sit back. I actually like in role playing games not being the main character, not being the leader. I like to actually just, sit back and let someone else be the lead, and I just get to enjoy the experience, and then fill in when I do. That's my sort of game style. Of course, because doing this, I'm used to always taking the lead. I'm used to speaking. I'm used to standing out in front. So it's nice for me to not be that person. So that's where I sort of go against my character, in role playing games. Hey Michael. I just could not get into the TV show. I got as far as season one, and yeah, I didn't really see any interest in going further forward. It was just one of them things. It just, I don't know. Like people swear about it. And how many seasons did it get in the end? Was it like 14 or 15 seasons for a TV show? That is insane. Like for a TV show to go that long, like props to it. So, like I said, Free League they've taken it. Birds over the trees, morning, sound out. A wee bit of an introduction. Contents of this book. The opening chapter provides an overview of how the game works, while the one that follows gives an introduction to the game setting, the world of the dead. Then come chapters that describe different aspects of the game mechanics. In chapter 3, you will find instructions on how to create a PC player character for those who don't know. While chapter 4 presents the skills and talents that signify the type of activities your player character is specifically well equipped to handle. Chapter 5 deals with different firearms, forms of combat, damage, walkers, gear, and vehicles. This is followed by a chapter about establishing your haven and scavenging the world of the dead for supplies. Chapter 7 is mainly written for the GM and includes extensive guidelines on how to prepare and run a game. Final chapters present a detailed campaign setup and short survival mode scenario for you and your friends to play. Last, you'll find an appendices and guidelines for solo play. Oh, right. So there's the option for solo play. I've started looking at that. There's a whole group of solo TTRPGers. There's channels and all out there. People not well solo play. To me, that's fair enough, but it also defeats the purpose of a TTRPG. The whole point of a TTRPG is to get round the table, even if it's a virtual table, with other people. That's the essence of it. One thing that really galls me are the naysayers who go, "Oh, role players, oh, they're nerds, oh, they've no friends, oh, they've no social skills," and I'm like, no. Role players are some of the most sociable people on the planet. You have to be. You're in a game actually with people interacting, and you're also stepping out of your shell completely. If you're playing a character, some people put on voices, some don't. Some dress up, some don't. Like work. Some of us are in robes, some aren't. It just depends on the feel of the moment. There's no requirement, but the fact that you're comfortable doing it, like Morkborg's a good example. Half of us are dressed up, another half aren't, and there's no if. It's just whoever feels like it at the moment, and that's the whole point. Is nobody bats an eyelid. It's not this strange conformity that you see in other hobbies and interests and stuff, and you know. So when people say, "Oh, role players, oh, they have no friends, oh, they've no this," I'm like, "Shut up! We're having more fun than you." Uh, Absolutely. I'll give an example. Last was it last year? It was last year. Call of Cthulhu: Tatters of the King. I was 8 months of a large campaign, Call of Cthulhu, and yeah, it was just your character was in for the ride, and even Call of Cthulhu, the fact that your character survived that long, that's some doing. But there was a sense of finality when we finally got to the end, and afterwards you're sort of going, "Oh, right, what do we do now?" Sort of thing, because you've been so invested in that universe, you become your character, you know what your character's like. Uh, so much fun. So yeah, I think that's why we're doing a lot of one shots at the moment and shorter campaigns, just because after playing something that intensely and being the same character for so long, and also playing the same game for so long as well, we're all trying new and different things and just bounce about and just having a laugh. But um, our campaign at the moment, the Cronus Strain trilogy, it's broken up into three sections. Yes, you play different characters. But anyway, you play different characters anyway because the chances of you dying are pretty high. So let's carry on and have a wee look here. Let's got the introduction. What is role playing? Right, the player characters. Before the outbreak, you and your fellow survivors were ordinary people. Whatever that means, perhaps you worked as a mechanic, or you were a high school student, or a drug addict. You had no special powers or high tech equipment. Drive. Now, after the outbreak, you're still the same, but there's one difference between you and those who didn't make it. Something that made you grit your teeth and push through everything you had to endure. That thing is called your drive. Being a group. This is not a game about individual heroes, going on suicide missions, but about a collective. You survive together, but the group must navigate the complexities of the human condition: envy, hate, secrets, love, and everything in between. There'll be conflicts among both the PC and NPC survivors. NPC is non-player characters, for those who aren't familiar. They're basically the characters the GM creates. So that's what your players. You don't just something that bugs me about role playing, the people that don't get it, is everyone always goes through the GM. I'm gonna see characters don't speak to each other in character. A metagame, it winds me up because that takes you out of the whole experience. Uh the P the games master will have a number of key characters that you're going to meet along the way. However, there are characters can be made up off a cuff depending on what the players do, and those can be just as fun or tasty. And if you go by our last sessions, some NPCs can be quite tasty. Check out our workboard play. Well done, brother Tetanus, you lunatic. But yeah, that's what adds the extra flavor, and depending on the interaction, can set you down a different path. Can uh, you know, can change your thought process. It's not a case of did I do that right? Did I do that wrong? We're telling a story with us. That's the whole point. And for example, during the Alien gameplay, there might have been a few war crimes committed. I was just lucky that the entire planet was getting wiped out, or there'd be a few smack bottoms at the end of that campaign. you know, things happen. But that's the bits that make you laugh. That's the bits that make you remember, and that's what makes an experience. And people that share that sort of experience tend to have a good bond. Because remember our character did this. Ha ha ha. Maybe you rolled that one and you absolutely fluffed it. Blah blah. Etc. Anyway, issues. That which you and everyone else wrestles with inside, your fear, your shame, your lust, is called your issue. Everyone has an issue that complicates their lives. NPC havens and even items can also have issues. This is further explored in Chapter 7. Right, so straight away your character's being, right, what makes you dig your heels in? We'll have a look at that there. But also, uh, how have you been affected by all this? So you're going to be slightly broken, which is true. You're not going to go through the zombie apocalypse and just go, that was fine, unless you're already, a bit psychotic, and that'll be your issue anyway. So be it. Anchors. Luckily, you have anchors to help keep your fear in check. Anchors are people in the group, PCs or NPCs, that you trust and love and help you find some kind of internal balance. You better protect them because if they die or disappear, you may fall apart. Right. So this is all right, getting this. There's a sense of dread, of hopelessness about the world. Like, why try and carry on? There's part of you driving to keep on surviving, but there's also another part of you going, may as well just give up, may as well just walk into the field now and get eaten. And that's what gets brought into the game as well. So once again, the setup here is already more interesting than just let's just meet in the tavern and let's go and steal the treasure from here and let's have no internal conflict or no internal dialogue between characters. That's not what it's about. You may as well play a board game, move pieces around, which is fine. If you want to do that, that's cool, but it's not role playing. So we've already got it built in. I can see here that you're basically trying to survive in this world and you're trying to find a way to keep going. You're trying to latch on to something or someone that gives you reason to keep going. And at a certain point in the game, and it'll probably be a dice roll on a table, I would say. It's not like this is what you have to understand about these games as well. It's not the vindictiveness of the GM. There's just you end up in certain scenarios, and to resolve that, a dice gets rolled, and usually if you completely fluff up a roll or do something, that completely antithesis to the group, there'll be a table to roll, and there's a consequence, and that'll be it. Your anchor dies, goes away, turns against you, and then that has a negative effect on your character functioning, usually in the terms of penalty dice or added stress dice. I think this uses stress mechanics like Alien. So it'll add your stress dice, and you could have a permanent uh, pool of stress dice, but you also roll, which can help you achieve successes, but also turns you into a gibbering wreck. It's one or the other. Game modes, campaign mode, survival mode. So that's the same as campaign cinematic. So basically, your campaign mode's long. You're going to be playing this for a year, and that might sound, oh, that's about. Trust me, when you're involved in a game, a year's nothing. Like you can play the same game for a year if you're involved, and it's all laid out, and you're turning up every week and playing it. You're flying, honestly. I'll refer you back to Tatters of the King on Brotherhood of the Dice's channel. Survival mode, so that's your one shots and your short games. So usually one shot technically is a one shot, but I don't think I've ever been in a proper one or a handful of one shots, because we arse about and waffle on. They usually turn into 2 or 3 sessions, but nothing wrong with that. A normal scenario is usually between 3 and 4 sessions. Usually the amount of time is about right, so that's cool. Selling scenes, you don't have to play everything that happens, even in the world of the dead. That would be dull. Just a television series, you play only specific scenes. It's a GM's job to start and end scenes. Most often, you skip in time and space between the next interesting moment and disregard the rest. Right, so that's if you're traveling from like the Haven to another location. If you're not gonna we're not gonna spend like an entire session going walking to get to the place. What'll happen is there'll be a dice roll of incidents. So okay, you travel along here, dice roll, nothing happens, you carry on, and then usually it'll be okay, nothing's happened, so you reach your location. It'll be a few weeks in game time, but in real life, I mean, you skip that part unless there's something that you're going to encounter along the way to get to your next spot. That's usually how it works. But once again, there's times that a simple encounter can take you off a different path, and that's fine too. Back to, you don't go out of your way to derail the GM because they put all the effort into the scenario, but they should also have built in enough flexibility that you don't feel boxed in to the world. You're not going just from point to point. If you want to go and explore something else, it may be completely pointless, or it could unlock something else and trigger a new idea, and the story could evolve and change. It has happened. Dice and conflicts. Most of the game is a conversation where you describe what the PC does and what they say. But there'll come a time when you attempt something dangerous or difficult, like trying to block a door to stop walkers from getting in or shooting at someone. At these times, you use the roll of the dice to decide how things turn out. Your PC has skills to tell you their strengths and weaknesses. If you shoot, you use range combat. If you try to save someone from bleeding out, you use medicine, and so on. Each skill has a skill level from 0 to 5, and each skill has a corresponding attribute on a scale from 1 to 5. When rolling for your skill, you add your attribute score in and skill together, and roll many 6-sided dice. Each 6 you roll is called a success, so pretty much the same. Every free league system has a system. Most time you only need one success to achieve what you want to do. The skill mechanics are explained fully in chapter 4. Right, so your attributes, that's your strength, skill, stamina, constitution, all that kind of. So it's basically you're building as a human being. The way the game works is you can have a go at anything. So just because you don't have skills in Comtech, for example, you can't wear a radio, doesn't mean you can't have a go. Doesn't mean you're going to succeed. In fact, you might fail spectacularly and destroy the radio by having a go, but you could also succeed. What you do with the skills then is if you add a particular, like mentioned range combat, anybody can pick up a rifle, point it in the direction, and set around down range. That doesn't mean you're a sniper. So you can have a go, but your chances of actually hitting the target depend on the difficulty. So if it's, I don't know, 500 meters away, you'll need 2 successes. If it's only 100 meters away, you'll only need 1 success, that sort of thing. If it's windy, you might need 5 successes to hit the target. You may only have 3 in your attributes, so there's no chance of you actually passing unless you're going to re-roll and do stress dice and stuff. But if you have skills, that gives you more dice to roll and more chance of actually getting the success. And that's the way the game works. Where you load your character up gives it a chance of passing something. What you have to do is balance out with your character. If you put your everything into one thing, like combat, and you can't talk to people, or you have to, negotiate something, and you've no charisma, then that you're only a one note character, which might be fine in the team, but sometimes you're on your own. You have to do stuff, so you have to kind of balance it out, and that's where we have the session zero. Session zero, for those that don't know, is when you sit down with the GM and you plan out your character, what the character's going to be. The GM knows the scenario before the start because they have obviously asked for players for it. They have an idea of what you need, so they'll subtly steer you in the right direction if you're trying to build a character it's not really going to fit into the particular scenario. Won't stop you, but it's a collaborative experience at the end of the day. It's not a versus experience. So you're not going to have fun if your character can't do anything. So there'll always be a conversation at the start during the session zero, and then it's up to you where you want to specialize. But everybody in the team isn't going to be. They're not going to all be contacts, for example. They're not all going to be snipers because there's other skills that are needed. Pushing and stress. If you fail a roll, you get the option to try again. This is called pushing the roll. It must be done immediately after the initial roll has failed. Stress points. Every time you push the roll, you take 1 point of stress. Stress is represented by stress dice. Yeah, so this is using stress dice. Check out our Alien RPG gameplay and look at the madness that happens with the stress dice. Actually, Flea, his character was on combat stims and he couldn't find any for like 2 whole sessions, and the stress dice just kept piling and piling and piling and piling. What have we got? It doesn't say what Free League do is they no, because it says AMC. No, AMC. So oh god, right. They've licensed it from the TV show, I believe. But what they do is if they get the license to a property, they'll not just restrict themselves to the movies. They will take part of it. But then again, for example, they've got the license for Alien. The second edition of the Alien RPG is going to take Romulus on board. They haven't mentioned the TV show, so they mightn't have the license to do that. So they can obviously take license. So it sounds like they've got it from the TV show. I don't know if that includes the license for the comics. I can't answer that question, obviously. But I don't see why, as a player, if you run the game, or a GM, if you run the game, you can't take a storyline from the comics. There's no reason why you can't do that. Unless there's certain names or something you can't use, but you can tweak those. You know what I said? You can change a name slightly. I'll go back to Helter Skelter when we talked about the Doors of Perception, who were a band playing while the Manson family run about. So I'll just get you can have a little tweak, so it's not the same, so you don't have to worry about getting taken to court. But that's kind of the whole point. This is giving you the basics of the location, the area, the scenario, but it's up to you where you go after that. There's nothing stopping you. Yeah, fight for food. So you could play this game, just for example, like because I know the way Free League work. Same as the Alien Universe, you could play the Alien game and never encounter a xenomorph. You could play the Walking Dead game and never encounter a walker, because it might be a whole like different gangs against each other trying to get resources. There could be one of the havens is blocked off the water supply. You have to go, they have decided to block off, dam up the river so you can't get water and you have to go sort it out and never encounter a walker. In most zombie movies, the zombies themselves are just a plot device. It's always the exploration. Look at the Romero's Living Dead series. Look at the Return of the Living Dead series as well. We're going to be covering Resident Evil next week. Gonna get into that series. The actual monsters are a plot device. The whole emphasis of this sort of story is the human condition and how humans act when all our comforts in life have been wiped away and we're back to basics and how we interact with each other and what is it that makes us human. Is it the rectangle boxes that we carry about, with social media on board? Is it our comforts? Is it our fashion that we wear? Is it blah, blah, all that kind of stuff? What happens when that's all out the window? What do we become? What do we replicate or what do we change? A good universe, actually, the Mad Max universe. And you think that's all post-apocalyptic. They invented a new language and systems of bartering and all that all came back. So cash is gone, money is useless. So go back to bartering and trading. So with that, what uses your clad? Not just you as an individual, but if you're good with fabrics, well, you can make shelters, clothing, and you can trade that for food from people who are good at hunting. So your tribe becomes focused on certain things. If there are people who are a bit industrious, mechanical, then like I use that negative, but somebody could build a dam and a well and have a water mill going, so you've got fresh water. The possibilities are limitless, especially for storytelling. And with a story, you have your general universe, but you're only dealing with a snapshot, a particular incident. Same with the role playing game, you've got this whole universe here, but your party's really only dealing with like a small little bit. Same year zero. I've started writing a scenario out for it. I'm sort of chipping. I'm doing too many things at the moment and jumping back and forward. But I've started working on that where a component in the arc needs replaced, so the party has to go out and find it, or else the arc is going to fall apart. As in not be any use. Which would probably translate to this as well because it's a similar scenario. Right. Chapter 2, World of the Dead. In the beginning, right after people understood that the world would never go back to the way it was, there were a lot of rumors about the dead. I heard people claim they'd seen vampires, ghosts, and all kind of fairy tale creatures. A politician told us he had been chased by a killer from a famous 80s slasher movie, but after we'd lived with walkers for a while, and they just kept coming day after day, their novelty wore off. Nowadays, campfire stories are about the living. A loner we met outside Anderson swore he was being chased by a group of former students from Clemson University, now turned into naked cannibals. I guess we'll find out how true that one was. We're headed that way tomorrow. There you go. So the walkers, like I said, are just a plot device. If you need something resolved, then a horde of walkers is going to just appear. But generally, it's it's how people get on and what people devolve into. I think that's how the TV show went, isn't it? It was all about the human camps. The main party walked between the human camps, and then each one had their own tribe or colony thing set up, and the repercussions of that, was it good or bad for the party? Was it conflict? Was it good? All that kind of stuff. People can get religious, form cults. People can become ultra scientific and logical. People can just become barbarians. All sorts of things can happen. Look at the internet. Look at the internet. Look at the sort of groups and focus groups and bubbles people put themselves into. It's just human nature. Prefer large rolls, dice rolls for skills combat to give more nuance. For example, if you need a 10 or better on a d20 and roll a 1, it should be worse outcome than a 9. Well, that's into. Yeah, but that's you build in the story. So, yeah, if you need a 10 and you get a 10 to climb a wall, well, you just about scrape over the wall and your chin gets, you're holding on with your chin at the top and it gets rubbed raw as you scrabble over and your shins get bashed in. Where if you get a 20, you basically you leap and do a backflip over the wall and you show off a bit and you bounce off the other side and no problem. It's once again that's down to the storytelling. And that's also I think player characters forget, as I say, that the responsibility is on the GM, but it's also responsibility on the players to help along as well. Like when a GM asks you if you want to push a roll and the GM asks you how are you going to do that, that's on you to tell part of the story, not just do this. Be part of the story, help the GM out, and then also sparks people's imagination as well and makes it a shared experience. And you take part in these games, you have to give a wee bit of yourself. You have to put in a bit of effort too. And it's not about acting. People confuse role players and actors. And I think that's where there's been a lot of problems lately because a lot of people who think they're actors are joining role playing games and that's what they think it's about. And they miss the whole point. And we'll see a bit of conflict happening due to that. But it all settles down. You tend to find if there's a role playing group full of actors, people want to be the star in quotes. Those groups tend not to last very long and they fall apart because they're not getting the whole point of the game. They're not getting the experience. The value of life, the struggle, when is that? Obviously, I'm not going to read all this out because I'm not going to spoil it. There's a link in the description as well if you want to pick up a copy yourself. Walkers, needs. All walkers are single-mindedly focused on one thing: feeding. They're not intentionally cruel. They do not use excessive force. They just do whatever it is necessary to satisfy that drive. They do not need food, water, or sleep, nor do they need to breathe. Transmission senses right. So that's all cool. Nature is reclaiming the world of the living after the outbreak. It did not take long before cities were overtaken with wildlife and vegetation. The air and water slowly became cleaner. Farm and zoo animals roamed free. Animal habitats emerged in areas previously populated by society. In short, nature and wildlife are thriving in a post-apocalyptic world. For your PC, this means more game, fish, and edible plants, but also more threats in the form of predators returned to their apexes in the absence of civilization. So, yep, once again, all that the lions and tigers and bears and you name it are running about there, packs of wolves. So there's loads of things can be thrown in without even encountering a walker. It's just the universe being used. Friends and foes, people, those who survive, what they live for. That's back down to your drive and the character. So that's built into your character. Everyone will have their own personal drive that keeps them going. Then we've got chapter 3, player characters. Core aspects, archetype, so there's loads of different archetypes. Name, issue, your drive. So once again, that's the two main things. Attributes, okay, pretty much standard. Strength, agility, wits, and empathy. So like I said, you can have a go at anything the GM puts forward, just using those 4 things. How well you do though, because they're limited, because they're built into your physicality. So anytime you build a character and talk about your attributes, and it doesn't matter what game it is, there's always limited points that you disperse between that, and you can only go over a certain level because you can't. You're still a human being, even if you go to the gym twice a week and build up all your strength. That means you're not reading books, so you can't be a super genius bodybuilder. Uh, there's only so many Dolph Lundgrens out there. So it's about being realistic with your human character. However, your skills then, which I was talking about, uh, close combat, endure, force, mobility, range combat, stealth, scout, survival, tech, leadership, manipulation, medicine. So that's all those. So just to give an example, close combat is linked to your strength. So even if you take no points in close combat, you get into a fight with someone, you use purely on strength. Endure, strength again. Force, so imagine that's kicking indoors and so forth. Strength. Mobility, I'm guessing that's your agility, dodge, that sort of thing. As using agility. Range combat is agility. Stealth is agility. Makes sense. If you're no agility, you're not going to sneak around places. Scout is your wits. Survival is your wits. Tech is your wits. Leadership is your empathy. Manipulation is your empathy. And medicine is your empathy. Talents are tricks, traits, and ability that can benefit you in various situations. They affect your dice rolls, or they let you do things that would otherwise be able to do. Talents are described in chapter 4. Right, there we go. Stress and anchors, losing drive, shattered. That's basically going insane. When you become shattered, you start suffering from delusions, bad habits, and beliefs. Yeah, you start making moonshine and drinking death when you basically give up. That's it's an interesting thing to have your character do that. And then it's trying to figure out, is there a way for your character to come back, or do you need a new character? That's one thing I'll always say to people who are maybe new to role playing games. Don't be afraid of your character breaking and dying. It doesn't mean you're out of the game. You just roll a new character, and you might be out for that bit, but um, I'll go back to Alien again. How many characters have I lost in the space of like 2 sessions? Just you come up, but we weren't as a formed unit. Come up individually against a xenomorph, you're dead. End of story. You're not walking away from that unless something really lucky happens. So I've lost characters. You just straight away jump into the next one. Usually, with these sort of games, there are spare NPCs, the non-player characters. So rather than having to go through the process of rolling a whole new character there and then, you can usually be given an NPC. Okay, here, take over this person. They're in the group. They're in the background. You bring them to the front, and you still play on. Yeah, it's a bummer to lose your character, but still, it's also part of the process. Never be afraid of it, and don't ever be the person that you're not getting the experience of the gameplay if you're always afraid of your character dying. Is the point I'm trying to make? It doesn't mean you have to be foolhardy unless your character is built that way, but then you have to have checks and balances so you can carry on, or else you've built a silly character that isn't going to last very long. But never be afraid of losing the character, because once again, I think it's back to the win lose or that sort of thing, that you like playing a board game. If you lose everything, then you're out of the game. But those things are only designed to be played within an hour. And usually you're 30, 40 minutes in before something like that happens. Those games resolve themselves unless something really bad happens, as in dice rolls and stuff. But with a role playing game, it's designed that you're going to be hours at this sessions. A session is between 3 and 4 hours long. It might sound like a lot, but trust me, when you get in and get started, time flies. Like it's over before you even realize. That's one of the real, I don't know, draws to me about this game, is that you can just spend so much time on it and not realize. Gear, self-explanatory. Experience, so every time you go through a session, you'll get experience points at certain point. There's certain cutoff points of the game your character makes there. You get experience, but that helps your character build and grow and develop more skills. If, for example, we'll go back to the contact, building a radio. If you've never built a radio before and you have a go and somehow you get a massive success and you build a radio, now you know how to do it. You've been through it before, so you can have that skill added and you start studying it. It's things like that, which is what happens in life. Oh, I've never done that. Oh, right. And then you learn how to do it. Like playing an instrument, for example, you practice, next thing you know, your skill performer. NPCs in the group, I've kind of went through that. NPCs are rolled exactly the same as a player character. There's no real difference except that the GM controls them. Another reason, like I said, for them being that way is sense of fairness. Because if you go into conflict with one or whatever, it has to be fair. They're not all superhumans, but also because these are combat role games, it's a post-apocalyptic universe with zombies. There's a chance your character's going to die. You can always have one of them NPCs then to carry on, and then if needs be, between the end of one session and the next, you can roll a new character and have them introduced as part of the story. NPC survivors. Roll a d6 to determine which group of NPC survivors you begin the game with. Oh, right. So, like, here's a whole bunch, right? Here's a whole bunch of survivors. That's quite cool. All right. So they've all got names. They've all got. Oh, you can have a baby. There's a baby in this drifter soldier. Right. So basically, you don't just get one or two. Like, there's a whole bunch of NPCs. So you roll your own characters, and then you get an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, extra 5 players as part of your group. So there you go. Your character's dies. There's 5 choices in addition. That's cool. Your haven, your home base. Your haven, your home base, like in Mutant Year Zero, your arc. It's the place where you go and you're not going to get attacked. You decompress, you resupply, all that kind of stuff. Where you actually get, there are the bits where you get to actually role play as well, and think out before you head out again. Busting the Hill, Factory, the Villa. Okay, that's all cool. Starting havens, right? And these are the archetypes. So each, like choosing your archetype, so you can be a criminal, be a doctor, the farmer, the homemaker, the kid, the law enforcer, the nobody, the outcast, just the politician, the preacher, the scientist, the soldier. That's it, right? So basically, you pick your archetype, and that helps you develop your skill base. So, what do you want to be in this game? You take it from there. And like I said, not everyone's going to be. If somebody picks the soldier, you might have 1 or 2 soldiers in a group, but unless it's a military unit. But then again, what else do you do? Are you escorting? That'll all be discussed during the session 0. And when a GM puts out they want to play the game, they'll tell you, okay, I need 3 soldiers, 1 scientist, 1 nobody, or they need 3 archetypes in the group for the game to run. And then you can decide if you want to join that, and then everything else could be open. That's all part of the conversation. So it's not like you just get thrown in and don't really get a choice. Using skills, cover that, messing up. Oh, by the way, like I said, Infinite Monkey Tales are running a scenario at the moment on their Twitch channel, and if you check out their YouTube, so Twitch streams only stay up for 2 weeks, so they'll copy them across to YouTube channel. So check out Infinite Monkey Tales YouTube channel as well for previous sessions. So if you're ever wondering how this game's played, go and have a look. In fact, what I will do, give me a second. Infinite Monkey Tales playlists. The Walking Dead Universe RPG. Right, I'm going to bung this in the chat. Does that work? Oh, yep, there you go. Right, so there is the playlist on Infinite Monkey Tales, Survive the Walking Dead, and part 2, right? And there's currently 6 videos. So obviously, if you can jump on their Twitch stream and watch it live, all the best. But if you want to sort of catch up and see how the game comes together, there's a whole playlist for you to check out. So we've talked about the skill list. Let's just go through it here. Talents again. So yep. Talents, the criminal's talents, the doctor's talents. Right. So this is where you start. You pick your archetype. And then you start doing the tree thing. So you go from here. Criminal's talents, threatening posture, fixer, fights dirty, doctor's emergency medicine. So that's in addition to your skills. You have a talent, you pick one of those, and when things get there, that's when your character gets a chance to come in. And it's always good, like I said, having a balanced role, and people can assist. I think it's a free league game, it'll have that. So you can have a doctor performing like surgery, and somebody holds the swabs and puts pressure on the wound. They get a bonus dice to make it happen. You know. Yeah, I need to get more games with this strain. Known for ages, and finally got to take part in some sessions for End of Kings. Actually, I need to, just with bloody scheduling. I need to get more more involved. Hopefully after this year, because we're being super busy on this channel, as you know, and it's just find the time. And obviously, we're trying not to trip over each other as much, but definitely more games, and like streaming's great, good bloke. Right, reducing threat level, single walker attacks, avoiding walkers, fighting a swarm, brawls among walkers. What? If you're fighting a living enemy in the middle of a swarm, the rules for brawls and the rules for fighting the walker swarm apply at the same time. Each round, PCs and NPCs choose whether to perform regular actions in the brawl or fight the walkers. Fighting the walkers counts as the other action. That sounds mental. If you're a swarm of walkers and you're going to start fighting someone else, priorities, but guess it happens. Like, I'll punch you this round. Oh, I'm going to punch a walker. A walker gets involved. Oh, madness. Home and Away, Chapter 6. It was such a dumb thing to do, to fall in love with my best friend and then treat her like shit. I could say I was stressed out, that I had too much on my plate, especially since we're recruiting new survivors, and the ones we found were even more traumatized than we were. But the truth is, I was on a power trip, and I thought I had the right to take whatever I wanted. It came to a point where she pressed the tip of the knife against my throat. Then she found someone else. I spent almost a year trying to win her back. It wasn't until we found that old lodge in the mountains that she would even speak to me again. But just a few days later, those raiders attacked, and they shot her in the head. That's going to mess you up. So, haven capacity. So, this is how you build a haven. So, already I'm getting you start off, the players that are going to take part in the game, each one chooses their archetype. You build your skill set around that. Then you roll the dice for the survivors group that you're with. Then you build your haven, and that can be take whatever shape or form. Some games might already have a haven built in because it's necessary for the scenario. It can be either or. Yep, that's all there. Going on runs, because you don't just stay there. You have to leave and go out and forage and get materials. Scavenging, locating things and resources. Very similar to Mutant Year Zero. Honestly, instead of being the haven, it's the Ark. it's very similar sort of premise. I suppose post-apocalyptic games are, it's the same sort of theme. Difference is in Mutant Year Zero, you are a mutant and you have uh various abilities and enhancements, but more close to the supernatural. Chapter 7, run the game. So basically that's for GMs, helping them along. Campaign preparations. Characters and release. Yeah, so obviously they're going along the same route. You probably have an ally and a rival. So there's somebody you don't get along with in the group, and there's somebody you do. It's all just to create the interdynamics and make you sort of stretch. But like I said, it's trying to, these sort of games by Free League, they don't want you just to go into the dungeon, kill the monster, steal the treasure. They want you to actually role play. And every Free League game I've played has been fantastic. Really love it. I just love the universes they build, and I love the just style. It could be just people play with because we're all mad, and that also helps. A few maniacs around the table that are prepared to do random stuff just to make life interesting. What more could you want? Faction example. All right, so yeah, we've got factions, secret issues, challenge swarms, blah blah blah. Sessions and scene. Before the first session, you should look through your preparations, select one or two challenges that you find interesting. Start the first session with a scene in the Haven. Let the PCs talk to each other and to the NPCs. Ask the players what's going on right now in the group. Set a couple of scenes where the players get to describe the PCs and the Haven. Then set the scene where you introduce the first challenge. Let the PCs react to it. If there's time, introduce another challenge, or let one of the NPC survivors tell them a rumor. Let them react to that. End the session when you feel done for the evening, especially before the PCs head outside on their first supply run. Right, okay, so session 1 is in the Haven. Cool. And people just basically get a chance to stretch out. It takes a while, as anyone knows, plays. It takes about an hour or so to warm up, especially in a brand new game where you're figuring out what your character does and how your character's going to interact and react to other characters. It's not you as a person. That's the thing, because you've seen us. We're all the same group, and we'll act differently depending on our characters. So it takes about an hour, and definitely the first session to sort of get that in their head. I'll go back on this channel to the start of the Alien. We're all just thrown in together, ragtag bunch of Marines formed into a unit quickly. They weren't even an established unit. Some knew each other, some had served together, some hadn't, and then we're given this mission, and then things went from there. And that took us about 2 sessions, I think, to really start to gel together. And then by the end of Destroyer of Worlds, like we're finally coming together as a unit and realizing that the only way to do things is together. And it played out how it played out. A lot of fun. And that's be the same with us. So once again, that's part of the story. Don't think that you're failing as a role player, figuring out how to talk to the other PCs and NPCs. That's part of any story you see anywhere. A group of people are thrown together, had to go and do something. Then, and the ones that know each other obviously have a better bond. But over time, you see it. People get intertwined, and conflicts and rivalries and friendships and bonds all happen. So there we go. This is all for the GM tips, survival mode scenarios, Atlanta campaign. Right, I'm not going to read this. As you know, I don't read campaigns or scenarios in books because I'm primarily a player, and I obviously don't want to spoil it for myself. But yep, there's the Atlanta campaign. Blah 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 stuff, and I think there's probably. Nope. Right, let's get past all that. And then, like I said, at the back, there's the index. So you always go to the back, and if you're looking up stuff, just quick references. So if you're looking for Eagle Eyes talent, tells you go to page 57. So it's if you're trying to find something you don't want to flick back and forward, there you go, boom. So there you go. I have that. Very happy. I've got to take a bit of time, obviously, read the actual universe. Who knows? I might even get tempted to pick up a TV series again, or pick up some of the books. Uh yeah, we'll have it all. I'm gonna if you look on this channel, there's a whole playlist to the Alien Universe. So not just the TTRPG, but the news articles and the movie discussions. An entire playlist dedicated to Alien. You can go right back. I am going to put it together. I was waiting until we finished Heart of Darkness, but what we're playing at the moment is the Draconis Strain trilogy. It's called, and if you see our Romulus review, we made reference to that because of one of the plot points. That if they had have called it that, this is what I'm saying about the movie. People can take a leaf out of the RPG writers' books because they're on point with what the scientists can get up to with xenomorphs. The studios seem to have a very limited imagination, which is odd. But there you go. That's just the state of Hollywood. That scenario in itself and how the three stories link together, is great storytelling. And we just sort of turn up and have a laugh with it, play our little bit. Not fully known as characters, what's going on, but when you sort of get the just like for example, when I read the scenario for Charlie the God, you're like, oh, curse you, when you knew he was up to shenanigans. That's the first part of it. It's so much fun. Um, Same again, just go and check out. If you ever wonder about a game or what it's like to play, honestly, if I'm not doing it in this channel, check out Infinite Monkey Tales or Brotherhood of the Dice. Every game you can imagine is played there. And you'll see us go through it as players, and you'll see us ask questions. I always say to Phil and that, don't be afraid to have people on the stream asking questions about mechanics because that's as part of the game plan, and people watching might want to learn about a mechanic and how it works. So it's once again, it's not performing. Yes, it's on a stream, but it's a stream of gameplay. It's not a Critical Role where they're performing the thing, or Miskatonic Repository where they're doing it as well for Chaosium. People just playing. I highly recommend it, and of course, if you are a Dungeons and Dragons fan or Dragonlance, go over to Adam's channel, Dragonlance Saga. Same again when you see people playing the game and they'll ask questions about mechanics, and Adam will answer too. Fantastic. Or go over to Evil Life channel and you've seen us. We've played Evil Dead game. We've played Innomine. So obviously different channels, different flavors. Obviously this is any of the horror games are going to be on here. But I mean, you name it, we've probably played it at some point. And if you can jump onto the Discord channel, if you don't want to watch a live stream, you just want to listen in. There's offline games too happening. It's a really vibrant community we've got here online. 5 different channels, working together and sort of sharing in between each other and joining in. And I'll be there and other channels, and they'll be here. And it's great, just having so much fun. And that's what this is about. At the end of the day, doesn't matter what the universe says, it doesn't matter the scenario. The whole point is to enjoy yourself and have fun. And if you're doing that, what's wrong with it? And you're making friends along the process. We're always open. The Discord channel is the best way. The Infinite Monkey Tales Discord channel. If you want to actually get involved, that's the best place. There's a looking for players channel in the server. Just jump in and say, "Is anybody playing?" Blah blah blah, and you'll get directed. Always looking for players. There was one night on the server, there was like 5 games running simultaneously on all the different stages. That was great. And then there's a night when we were doing Morkborg, there's a game over on the Discord channel as well, something else, and that's why we do it bi-weekly, because there's games in between. Flea runs Sorcerer, that's been going for quite a while. And yeah, you name it, it's on there. We played the Judge Dredd flipping role-playing game. That was a lot of fun. There's so many scenarios you can jump into, and have so much fun. So yeah, come on over and have a look. But yeah, I think that will do it for the unboxing. God, I've waffled on a bit, haven't I? I always do the RPG stuff, don't I? Am I a nerd? Much. But there you go. And yeah, thanks everyone for jumping in the chat. Great to see you. I know this is early, but just want to get this out of the way. I have a few things to do. Anyway, there you go. Thanks again. And until next time, keep up to date with the channel, do the typical things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.